It is I, Nicholas Kibutsuji here, for a new video. Now today, I'm doing something I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is what if I was in MHA. Now, today I actually came up with a very powerful, but kind of unique quirk. Allow me to explain. And yes, if you're wondering who this handsome devil is, that is myself. If you don't believe me, I don't blame you. I look like a troll. And yes, that's my cat in the background. Say hi. Say something, you fatty. Sorry about that. You can kind of hear him purr, but I'm not sure. Anywho, now back to the video. Basically, this is, well, myself. My full name is Nicholas James Ely. And yeah, I am American, but I'm not an asshole. Now, without any further ado, let me explain the quirk. So, Nicholas Ely's quirk is rolling spheal. Now you're probably wondering, wait, spheal? Don't you mean seal? No, spheal, as in the Pokemon spheal. Yes. Yes, that very same spheal. Now you're probably wondering, how the hell can spheal ever be useful? Well, allow me to explain. The quirk rolling spheal is very powerful. Essentially, it allows the user to transform into a spheal. However, in spheal form, it gets a few buffs. The first, and a few, increases in power. The first is its durability. In spheal form, basically nothing, no matter how sharp, how blunt, how strong, or how much force a object has or person has, doesn't even matter if this weapon or person is able to shatter the frickin' outerverse in seconds. I'm not the outerverse, sorry. A mountain in seconds. His durability won't let up. In fact, it's kind of like SpongeBob's squishy durability. If you punch him, your hand will just squish in, and then his blubber will just squish it back out. The second buff is obviously the hydrokinesis and cryokinesis that spheal has. And because I want to, because I'm an asshole, I am giving this spheal, myself, the ability to use sheer cold, which is basically a insta-freeze move. No escape. Hey. So yeah. However, just like in Pokemon, I am going to be adding the same limitations. Basically, it's a very powerful one-hit KO move. However, it takes a lot of time to charge up, so obviously you can't really be focusing on your opponent if they're moving in battle often, so it will mostly miss. However, if this move hits, there are some drawbacks to it. If the opponent is stronger, physically, mentally, or even just power-wise, stronger than the user, the attack will have no effect. Hold on. Sorry about that. Let's continue. So basically, it's a very powerful but not very accurate move. Now, it does have. Now, Nicholas has access to Blizzard, on the other hand, which basically creates a frickin' blizzard. Hail, snow, harsh winds, the whole shebang. But now that we're done with the hydrokinesis, cryokinesis, and insane durability, now it's time for the speed and the main part of his quirk. Basically, as we all know, spheles love to roll around. I decided to weaponize the rolling aspect of a sphere. Essentially, every time Nicholas rolls around once, yes, every time he completes one full roll, or one 360 roll, his speed is increased by 100 times. So yeah, that's broken out enough. And here's the thing, there's no upper limit, no level cap to this ability. Meaning, if he wants, he can literally generate infinite speed. However, if he were to, say, be able to go faster than light, he doesn't always have to go faster than light. Even if his max speed is faster than anything he could possibly comprehend, he can still limit himself to going at normal speeds with relative ease. Now, the thing is that normally, if you were going faster than the concept of infinite speed itself, your body would break down due to how much force you'd be generating, or just how much air pressure would be hitting you. Yeah, that's not a problem with Spheal. Remember what I said about his durability? Yeah, when it comes to his speed, he basically removes the laws of inertia, gravity, all that type of stuff that slows him down or hurts him. Basically, if he is rolling, there's nothing stopping him. So yeah. And yes, if he wants, he can move so fast to the point where it looks like he's teleporting. In fact, one of his moves that you're going to see in the actually no spoilers. Anywho, now that you know a bit about his quirk, let's begin. Oh wait, I forgot to tell you the important drawback. It's a one-time transformation. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, huh? Now allow me to explain. The quirk is a one-time transformation. Now you're probably thinking, oh, you can only turn into a sphere like one time in your entire life, and then you go back to being a normal Joe. Or you can only turn into sphere once a day? Not exactly. Basically, when you transform into sphere, you lose everything except your mind. You lose everything human except your mind, your ability to speak English, Japanese, and all other languages, and, well, everything, and your emotions. Basically, you become sphere permanently. So yeah, this is a permanent transformation. And that is the drawback. However, a not part of the power, but also kind of part of the power plus that you get is the fact that you're so freaking adorable that usually your opponents will just be admiring how cute you are and not attacking you, allowing you to either escape, or simply just attack them while the guard is down. And yes, this ability works even on people who are dead inside, have no soul, or just hate everything and everyone. Yeah, the cuteness is not an ability, it just works that way. Because why the hell not? So, let's begin our video. Nicholas is it's his life in America. The town of Ohio. Yes, I was actually born there, and I actually do live in Ohio. And trust me, it'd be weird sometimes. But I'm not going to tell you any Ohio stories for now. In fact, if you want to see me talk about some of my tales in Ohio, I will gladly make a mini-series about that type of stuff. If you guys want, of course. So if you want that, please spam freaking penguin emojis in the comments if you want a series about me just talking about my tales and adventures of Ohio. And trust me, they do be wacky. But back to the video. Nicholas was born in the rural town in the rural state of Ohio. Now, when he was younger, at first he thought it was Gorkless. I mean, yeah. His body showed no signs of power-ups, no signs of speed increased, no supernatural abilities, none of it. Until he went to the quirk doctor. The doctor was amazed and said, "You have a quirk, indeed. Yes, you do. However, it can only be, basically, it is triggered by you simply curling yourself up into a ball. However, if you do this, there is no turning back. Basically, you will lose everything that makes you human except your brain, your mind, your emotions, your feelings, and your ability to speak. Of course, you will still eat like a normal human, you'll still like normal human foods, and you'll still be able to sleep and all that. You just will be in a sphere body forever." As Nicholas was confused and said, "Sphere?" As the doctor then said, "Ah, yes. A sphere is a creature from over 300 years ago. Oh, however, it was not a real creature. Instead, it was a creature made in a show/anime/game series known as Pokemon. Essentially, Sphere is a very powerful and has potential of being a powerful cryomancer and hydromancer. Basically the abilities of ice, and freaking water. And of water and ice. However, in the games and anime, it only gets stronger, but its upper limit if it evolves. You do not have this feature. Instead, you're going to be pretty broken. But remember, you're basically a normal human until you use this power, and it's one-time only transformation. Basically, you lose humanity. You lose everything that makes you, well, a human. You become Sphere permanently. Now, if you want this power if you guys in the comments want this power, please type in and please put reject humanity. Reject humanity. Become Sphere in the comments. But anywho, let us begin. At the age of 14, Nicholas decided he would be going to, well, the #1 hero school in the world, which was UA. Now, of course, he had trained his body to its physical peak, despite being, well, frail. You see, in this series and in real life, I do not have a normal human build. Not bulky, not tubby, not strong, not muscular. Instead, I'm very, very, very lean and skinny, to the point where my mom sometimes says I look like an Ethiopian skeletal alien. I am 16 years old. I weigh 119 pounds, and you can see my bones and veins every time you look at me. However, there is no genetic problems wrong with me. That's just my entire family. Like, seriously. Everything on my dad's side is tall, skinny, and looks somewhat Mexican, despite the fact that we have no Mexican in our blood. But let's continue with the what if. He had trained his very lean, very skinny, body to its physical peak, basically making him look like one of those skinny anime characters you know you don't want to fuck with. The dudes who you know can spin your block more times than you can possibly count. However, he knew that all of this would be basically a waste. All this training and preparation would basically go to waste when he evolves from human into Spheal, as he'd basically lose human form. As we go to Nicholas, who is training in all ways, in all manners of intelligence, strength, and, well, simply just basic stuff. Physical strength, check. Intelligence, check. Overall knowledge, check. As we go, however, Nicholas is leaving in his house. He's basically walking over to a store to, try and get some milk and try and get some nice, delicious strawberry milk, or a Japanese variant of it. Yes, I love strawberry milk. Don't judge me! As we see Nicholas simply walking down to the store. And yes, if you're asking, he does know how to read and speak and write Japanese. Not in real life, though. I do not know how to read, speak, or write Japanese. But this is just for the sake of continuity and not a complete language barrier. Because seriously. As we go to Izuku and Bakugo, the sludge villain attack. Bakugo is basically being strangled. There's not much anyone can do. The sludge villain is trying to take over his body while all Bakugo's exploding and everything near him to try and get the villain off. However, out of nowhere, we see a very skinny boy at the height of 5'6". Well, not 5'6", sorry. Around 5'8", start running over towards Izuku and Bakugo. As he starts trying to fight the villain with his fists, arms, and legs. As Izuku then says, "What are you doing?" As Nicholas then says, "What does it look like I'm doing?" I'm trying to save this kid." As Izuku then says, "Use your quirk. The villain's too powerful and too strong for our physical attacks." As Izuku then says, as Nicholas then says, "If I use my quirk, I'll turn into a frickin', I'll just turn into a frickin' baby Spheal." As then Izuku says, "Spheal? You mean like from that video game series Pokemon from 300 years ago?" As he then says, "That's the one." As he then says, "Wow, that isn't really the best quirk." As he then says, "It's actually stronger than it sounds. However, it's a permanent transformation, so I'm saving it for a rainy day." as the sludge villain is blasting and attacking Izuku and Nicholas, while also trying to override Bakugo's body. As all things seem bleak and hopeless, Izuku is actually getting hurt and looks like he's about to die. As then, Nicholas then says, fuck it. And suddenly, it happens. He curls up into a ball as suddenly a ginormous sphere of water and ice covers his entire body. As suddenly, a piercing cyan, sky blue, and white glowing aura, which you could see from the frickin' moon, which you could see from the fricking surface of the moon, is emanated from Nicholas. As we then see this, as he then says, okay, let's see what I can do. As he then starts rolling around the villain. Now, at first, he's looking like a tiny little baby just rolling around the sludge villain. However, then the speed increase begins. And suddenly, it looks like there's a fricking blue ring around the villain. As then, the blue ring starts dashing through the villain. Basically, using attacks so fast to the point where all you can see is a blur. However, due to the amount of speed and force that Nicholas is hitting the sludge villain with, it is, well, quite literally removing whatever he is touching. Because it's being hit with so much force, or at such a great and high level of speed, that the sludge villain's body cannot take it and kind of just evaporates. As we see Nicholas just freaking speed blitzing the sludge villain. As he then opens his mouth and blasts a large amount of ice out, and then he uses Blizzard and covers the entire area in snow, ice, and hail. However, it also freezes said villain. As then the sphere simply just plops down on the ground in the middle of the ginormous, frozen sludge bits. As then the heroes and civilians begin praising Nicholas for his quirk, as they then say, "Whoa, what's your quirk?" As he then says, "Oh, it's simply just called Rolling Sphere." As they then say, "Rolling Sphere?" As he then says, basically, I can turn to a sphere from Pokemon, but it's permanent, like you can see right now, and, well, I don't want to tell you all my secrets. As he then starts rolling away at the normal speed of, well, a normal sphere. As then, out of nowhere, All Might appears, as he then says, "Wait just 1 minute. Wait just 1 second, sir. Your quirk is quite effective. You blitz hits that villain so fast that his own body parts were being evaporated. That is extremely powerful." And then says, however, quirk usage outside of hero practices is strictly prohibited. As he then said, I'm going to need you to turn back into a human now. As then Nicholas would then say, sorry, sir, but the transformation's a one-time deal. Yeah, it's permanent. And yeah, we've already tried quirk-canceling handcuffs in thousands of different simulations. It doesn't work. Quirk canceling doesn't turn me back into a human. In fact, my best friend, well, technically not best friend, my kind of stepsister, her quirk allows her to basically perfectly copy anything she touches. She created a perfect double of me and then asked it to turn to a sphere. It complied. She tried turning it back into a human by using her other friend, by using her friend who could, well, erase quirks, kind of like the Japanese hero Eraserhead. However, said ability did not work on said clone. So yeah, I am now Sphere forever. And then the clone kind of poofed away into ash. After a bit, as an All Might then said, I see. As he then say, well, what is your name, young one? As he'd simply say, oh, my name's Nicholas Ely. As he'd then say, young Ely. I will admit, you showed great heroism today. With your power and your way of using it, despite the fact that this was your first ever time using said quirk. As he then said, yeah, I never actually have even trained it. As we go to Bakugo, who's just looking at a sphere from one of his favorite games, talking to All Might. As he then says, you gotta be freaking kidding me. A sphere? That dude has a quirk which turns him into a sphere, and it's so good that he's talking to All Might? As yes, in this universe, Bakugo plays Pokemon. Don't ask how the hell he was able to find a game that's 300 years old. It was sheer luck. As then, All Might then says, young Ely. Say, I'll tell you what, if you would like, I could actually train you. I could actually help train you. As he then says, besides, your quirk is quite powerful with your speed and with the speed that comes with it and the amount of force that you can hit things with. I have a feeling that you would be a quite devastating hero. As he then said, in fact, I'd be willing to tutor you in some techniques, and I'd actually be willing to, recommend you to a tutor of mine and to an old teacher of mine, and hopefully help you learn with some of your techniques. As then Nicholas would then say, that's amazing. Thank you, sir. As All Might would then say, no problem. As he then say, now if you don't mind, I have someone else to see. As he would then, and basically fly away to see. I'm going to see Izuku. As we stick with Nicholas, who's like, holy hell, I just talked to Japan's #1 hero, All Might. I mean, wowza. He looks impressive. That physical muscle and strength, and his attitude. He's definitely worthy of being a #1 hero. As Nicholas would also then say, However, I have noticed a lot of American-inspired things about his outfit, such as the star, the red, the white, the blue. But, that's not important. As Nicholas would then start rolling around, as he'd then say, however, I can't help but notice some great similarities between All Might and, well, America's #1 pro hero. As he'd then say, oh well, as he'd then just start rolling away. As 2 weeks later, as we go to 2 weeks later, Izuku and Nicholas run into each other after school. As Izuku then says, oh, hey Nicholas. As Nicholas then says, hi Izuku, how you doing? As Izuku would then say, I'm doing good. I was actually just going to go to the old, beach. You know, Dagobah Beach. As Nicholas would then say, oh, cool. I would love to go there, but, it's freaking cluttered. So I can't roll around in the sand or in the water like I would want to. As it then say, however, I can't think about rolling around the sand and water today, as I actually have someone to meet. As he'd then say, who? And as Izuku would then say, who? As Nicholas would then say, I don't exactly know, but All Might kind of recommended me to them, and they were so interested in my quirk that they kind of emailed me. Well, not really emailed. They kind of Facebooked me. Or as then... And Izuku would then say, you have Facebook? As Nicholas would then say, yup. Now, take in mind that this is basically 300 years after present time. So, Facebook is basically the MySpace. And is basically worse MySpace now. As Izuku would then say, alright, I'll catch you later. As Nicholas would then say, catch you later. As he then began rolling away. As we cut to a few hours later, as Nicholas simply just starts slapping a entrance door with his little tiny flippers. As then a short man opens the door and says, who is it? As then Nicholas says, oh, I'm Nicholas Ely. I was told to come here by someone that All Might recommended me to. As the short man would then say, you must be the American, right? As Nicholas would then say, yup. As Gran Torino would then say, well, my name's Gran Torino. Nice to meet you. What's your name? As he'd then say, oh, I'm Nicholas Ely. As he'd then say, nice to meet you, Nicholas. Now, I don't train just anyone. In fact, I don't really usually train anyone. As he'd then say, but I'm thinking you're an exception. However, I want to see what you're capable of. As, according to what I heard from All Might, you were able to bounce off of nearby buildings and rubble to redirect yourself to attack said villain. And to attack the sledge villain, is that right? As Nicholas would then just simply half roll himself to kind of give a nod, which is frickin' adorable. As then Gran Torino would then say, good. As he would then say, now, today I wanted to first see and test and see what you're capable of. As he then say, now, let's begin. As Gran Torino would then immediately begin blasting off of the ground. As he began jumping from wall to wall, ceiling to floor, floor to ceiling, leaving nothing but air pressure and a yellow streak behind. As we go to Nicholas, who simply just begins rolling. However, he begins using he begins going at least 5 times the speed of sound, and impresses the crap out of Gran Torino. Of course, his techniques are sloppy, but that's only because he's never really trained in his feel form. Or before. However, he basically begins speed blitzing Gran Torino while gilding more kinetic energy and speed as well as force with each time he rolls. Eventually, it gets so impressive to the point where Gran Torino actually has to stop the spar out of fear of dying. As he then says, well done. Your technique is sloppy, however, it doesn't really matter due to the amount of speed and force you were giving off. In fact, with some professional techniques, you could very well become one of the top 10 heroes with just your speed alone. However, if you have any other abilities, like the Blizzard ability I heard so much about from Toshi, then you should be a very, very close candidate for number 1 even. As he'd been saying, now, let's continue. As we skip to the entrance exam. At this point, Gran Torino has been teaching Nicholas the arts of a whole bunch of different techniques for bouncing off of walls and dealing heavy damage to your opponents. Now, another thing I forgot to mention is that Spheal, at least in this universe, is extremely squishy and bouncy. Meaning that basically if he hits the ground with enough force, he will then bounce off of the ceiling, then back on the ground, basically creating a near infinite loop of just bouncing. So if he aligns himself perfectly, that can be a very dangerous combo for his opponents. As we go to the entrance exam, as we see Nezu simply sipping his tea with the other teachers in a sort of, how do you say it, security room, or, no, a sort of area where they can observe, an observation area, sorry. As Nezu then says, my, I wonder what that boy is, and who that student is, or what his quirk is. As Toshin Moriarty then says, oh, that is Nicholas Ely. Actually, funny story. His quirk, he actually hasn't even had it for more than a year. In fact, he's only had it for about almost a year. Or had it activated at least. As then Nezu would then say, please elaborate. As then All Might would begin explaining what Nicholas told him about his quirk. As he then say, my, that is quite impressive. As Aizawa would then say, he's adorable, his quirk has a lot of potential, and he's been training with Gran Torino. Nezu, I want him in my class. As he then say, cool. And as Nezu would then say, yes. In fact, I believe that this batch might have a lot of potential this year. After all, as you can see, these students are definitely not weak. Just look at that one, as we zoom over to Bakugo, who's destroying robots left and right. As then say, or that one, as we go over to Todoroki. As we then say, oh, or what about that one? As we go over to Fumikage Tokoyami. As he then says, and what about that one? As he then points over to a whole bunch of robots just start falling over and being ripped apart. Now, for those who don't know, that is obviously Hagakure's quirk in action. Invisibility. As Nezu would then say, yes, sir, this year is going to be quite exciting. All these students have such fresh and cool quirks. And their abilities, these with said quirks, are not lacking. Well, for most. As we go to Izuku, who can't really get a lot of points in. And who can't really get any points in. I mean, of course, he is able to hit some robots, unlike Cannon, and actually score some points, but not nearly enough to pass, and to guarantee passing. As then Nezu then says, so much potential. I wonder how they'd react if we summoned in the 0 pointer. As he then presses a red button on his desk. As suddenly a ginormous green robot simply starts attacking. Walking around, terrifying the crap out of students. All but 2. Izuku, of course, starts trying to run away. And then he hears someone scream for help. As Izuku starts running towards said 0 pointer with pure or heroic intentions. As we go to Nicholas, who simply sees the giant 0 pointer and is like, ooh, this might be a good way to test my quirk. As he then uses one of his ultimate moves, or one of his strongest techniques. Or not strongest, one of his stronger techniques. As he then says, 0 point bouncing blitz. As Nicholas starts rolling around. However, not moving, instead he's rolling in place. However, he keeps rolling so much to the point where his speed just keeps infinitely multiplying. To the point where he doesn't even look like a sphere rolling anymore. He just looks like this white and blue yin and yang symbol infinitely spinning around. As he then says, as 0 point second stage. As he then says, Swiss blast. As he then instantaneously disappears. As then we see nothing happen but ginormous but tiny sphere-sized holes begin popping out of nowhere all over the 0 pointer. As we just see billions of holes start popping and opening up around the Zero Pointer and other robots. As Izuku then, and however, the Zero Pointer is still somehow able to punch in and function, and Izuku then uses his punch on the robot's head. Now, this form of pseudo-teamwork astonishes the pros. Seeing how basically Nicholas used his speed and amounts of force that were and kinetic energy that were generated from simply just rolling around to blast ginormous Swiss cheese holes through the robot. Whereas Izuku was able to then land the final blow on the robot's head. The only part that was still able to control the body and cause it to function properly. Afterwards, Izuku ends up in the infirmary, and Nicholas starts rolling away back to home. As he is then called in by Nezu, who then simply says, "Excuse me, sir, but what is your quirk?" As he then says, "Excuse me, sir, but I must ask, how did you do that to the Zero Pointer?" As Nicholas would simply say, "Oh, that's one of my newer moves. I call it simply 0 point bounce." Essentially how it works is I start spinning around intensely, building up speed and kinetic energy in a single point, a 0 point if you will. Here's actually how this works. I like to call this time delay, or spatial delay. Basically what happens is, like you saw with the Zero Pointer, I blasted through the robot instead of bouncing off of it like my quirk normally allows, as my body is extremely bouncy. But then a whole bunch of different holes started opening up. As he'd then say, basically what was happening was I was going so fast that the effects of my bounce were actually delayed right to the point after I blasted through the robot. As it then says, essentially, I was going so fast to the point where my bounce ability was delayed. And I was quite literally bouncing off of air. As Nezu would then say, "Holy cow, you are very, very, very fast." As Nicholas would then say, "Of course I am. After all, I have to be. I am feel. I am speed. And if I want to be one of the greatest heroes ever, I have to be able to get to everyone in the world who needs help at the speed of faster than a single second." As he then says, "After all, my dream is not to become the greatest hero who saves everyone with a smile on his face and gets all the fame. My dream is to become a hero, and is to become a person who not only saves people, but instead it becomes a symbol of protection, a symbol of heroism itself. I want to become a symbol of what heroism actually means to me and to the world. I don't want money, fame, riches, power, influence, or anything else. I just want to be a good dude." As then say, "I see. Well then, I guess I don't even need to tell you this, but from what I've seen, you passed, scoring over 200 points. and then destroying the zero pointer while also saving 5 different students. I will admit, that's quite impressive. As he then say, you got not only the highest score, or out of everyone, but you also saved the most people, as you were focused on both destroying robots and helping out fellow students, or what's it called? Fellow participants. As then said, and for that, I just have to let you in my school. After all, you are also an animal and you're also basically a chimera with the ability to speak. So, obviously, we have to look out for each other, huh? As he then gives Nicholas an elbow nudge, which causes him to roll just a tiny bit. As Nicholas then says, yeah. As he then gives Nezu a flipper nudge. And a nudge with his flipper. Absolutely freaking adorable. Like, I would love to see someone animate this scene. As we go back to Izuku, who is training his butt off. As he then sees Nicholas simply rolling by, as then says, hey Nicholas, would you like to come over to my house for dinner? As Nicholas then says, sure. I actually would love to. After all, you're kind of one of my only friends in Japan. And plus, I don't really know a lot about you. As Izuku then say, I'll actually, tell you some stuff about me on the way there. As Nicholas would then say, nice, I'll tell you some stuff about me on the way there as well. As we see the two friends simply walking and rolling over to Izuku's house. However, we soon go back to America. As under the ground, deep underground, we see hundreds, no, maybe even thousands of millions of pipes, wires, devices, and camera screens, and TV screens, camera screens, just screens in general, and pieces of technology all over the place. As we then see a cloaked figure simply watching footage from Japan. As the person then says, damn it. That adorable little Spheal moved to Japan. Causing the entire, as the hooded figure would then scream in anger, loud enough to cause the entire your underground base to shake, and the signal to even zone out for 5 whole seconds. Basically, yeah. With just a scream, this person was able to disconnect all the frickin' Wi-Fi within a 10-mile radius. And that's not even part of her frickin' and that's not even part of their freaking quirk. As we go back, and as the villain simply says, as the cloaked person simply says, it's fine. Grr. Alright. As she then says, as Malleus Furtanus, as then another cloaked person with a strange symbol on their cloak that simply is just called the Malleus Furtanus, then walks up. As the hooded figure then says, go to Japan and capture Nicholas Ely, the Spheal. at all costs, and don't hurt a single part of his precious and adorable little blubber. As Inatus Fortanus would then say, "Of course, milady." As he would then teleport out of there. As the woman would then say, "Soon, soon." As we go back to Zoo, Uku and Nicholas, who are now at the Midoriya residence. As Nicholas then says, "Alright, get ready to meet my mom." As he then knocks on the door. As the door opens up, and then a shocking sight is seen, as both the boys simply see before them the miraculous sight of Cliffhanger no Jutsu. Yes, that is where I'm ending this part off. I hope y'all have enjoyed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and click on those notifications if I got them. Tell me what you thought of this video, if you want more or content for it, and who do you think Inatus Fortanus and his mysterious master are. Please put such in the comments. Put a possible ship in the comments as well. Hope you all have enjoyed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and skadoosh.